Davante Adams is the newest name of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm very excited to talk about Davante Adams and what we have heard. I'll lay the scene. I'll set the scene for you guys. I'm sitting to get an oil change today. The truck needed an oil change. Sitting there, I get a phone call. I answer the phone. Person on the other side of the phone goes, "Go get your laptop." I said, "Okay, that sounds great. That's when you tell me to do something, I'm going to do it." Chances are, I have been told a lot, to be honest with you, when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers and where Davante Adams and that trade situation currently stands. The Steelers have not hid the fact that they want a wide receiver. And in the words of both Chris Halleck and Jerry Dulac today, when water is wet, and that just means that with Davante Adams, of course, they're going to be interested. I've been told that the Pittsburgh Steelers are, quote unquote, absolutely in on the Davante Adams trade, and they have some serious interest in getting a deal done. Now, the Raiders obviously would rather trade Davante Adams to the NFC than the AFC, and they're not going to make it easy for any team to acquire Davante Adams. Now, it comes two parts here on what you could be looking at in a trade, and we'll dive into a kind of a mock trade that makes absolutely no sense here in a minute. But from what I have been told, the Raiders are looking for a second-round pick and a, quote, significant player in exchange for Davante Adams. The Pittsburgh Steelers might feel comfortable with the second-round pick. I don't believe they feel very comfortable with a significant player. That being said, when it comes to the contract side of things, they do feel they can get something done to make sure that this is not a one-year rental, that Davante Adams could expand his contract, renegotiate some things, lower that cap number, and be here longer than just the 2024 season in Pittsburgh. But they want to make a move. They are certainly interested. I mean, this started with the Steelers, quote-unquote, have what's the word?
Preliminary.
Thank you very much. Interest in Davante Adams, and they just want to have some conversation to see where they are. I was told that almost the moment that this became like a thing within the NFL, not a thing to us. A thing to us happens much later than a thing within general manager to general manager and around the NFL, that the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Las Vegas Raiders started talking, and they have continued those conversations over the last 24 hours. So I would imagine this is a fluid situation. This is something that will continue to build. The Pittsburgh Steelers are in on Davante Adams. They would like to get a deal done. They would like to acquire another wide receiver. It comes down to compensation and a contract, and can they fix both of those things? I don't think they'd give up a significant player simply because they don't really have a significant player to give up. But I do think that you could come up with a smaller package of less significant players and see if that works for the Raiders, or just try to juice up your pick. But I also, from what I have been told, there are teams that are interested, but nobody is sitting around super eager to give up what the Raiders are asking for just yet, especially with the contract situation. It would come down to getting the contract situation figured out first, and then you go to what do you have to give up. But I don't think, I mean, yesterday we were talking about teams are going to compete and it's going to raise the price tag. From the sense I have gotten, it doesn't feel like the NFL is very eager to hand a boatload of picks and players to the Raiders for a guy that, well, they see right now as, compared to the Brandon Ayuk situation a couple of months ago, a guy who would rather be out than be in, and that kind of gives them more leverage in the situation. There's a crisp in the air. The leaves, they are falling, and my friends, football is on every single weekend. That is what fall is all about. And you can make your weekends even more exciting with our partners, DraftKings. Right now, any new customer who signs up and bets $5 will instantly get $200 in bonus bets by using our promo code ALLSteelers. All you have to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and sign up using our promo code ALLSteelers. The crown is yours. That's $200 in bonus bets instantly. Then stay in on the action and use that $200 in bonus bets to bet anytime touchdowns with DraftKings. DraftKings is the place to bet touchdowns. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings daily fantasy football and have a shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code ALLSTEELERS and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code ALLSTEELERS only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The Steelers absolutely in on Davante Adams. Second round pick, maybe a package there. Do you see players or do you see more picks when it comes to a Davante Adams move?
Yeah, when we talked about this yesterday, I said that I have a hard time believing it's going to be players just because we did this exercise with Ayuk. There's not really a lot of players that the Steelers are probably open to giving up that would count towards being a quote unquote significant player for the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, Highsmith's name was brought up in the summer. I think we all know that that should not be brought up ever again. But then you look at the defensive side, yeah, they have some depth at positions, but it's being tested at outside linebacker. They're being tested on the offensive line. They don't really have any depth at wide receiver, and they're certainly not going to do what some people think they should do when it comes to this trade. And now the running backs are hurt. So that's another area that they could have potentially had an area of strength to trade for to help an area of weakness. So I just don't see it unless the Raiders are willing to come down significantly on what they believe a significant player actually is.
Yeah, look at I agree there. And to be honest, what are the Raiders looking for? Because that has to match too. Are the Raiders looking for offensive linemen? Are the Raiders looking for a safety? Are the Raiders looking for? That's all they got. Like, if we're going to be honest, the Steelers don't have depth at a whole ton of places to say, hey, come on back. Here's this guy. Here's that guy. It just doesn't make a ton of sense in both sides, not just one side. I do think the Steelers are looking to get this done, though, and I do think the Steelers are going to be willing to say, hey, okay, look, we don't have a significant player, but we have a third-round pick we could toss in there. We have next year's third-round pick we could toss in there, something around those lines. I do anticipate them making a bit of a splash here to try and land a blockbuster move. If I had people love this one. What's the percentage on where we stand currently?
Yeah.
If I had to toss it out there, I rocked 70 for a long time. And I would probably put this one a little bit higher, 75%. We're there. We're not closing in. This is not on the goal line. I don't even think we're in the red zone yet. But I would imagine the Pittsburgh Steelers are the leading candidate to land Davante Adams and are probably more urgent to get a deal done than anyone else. Now, before we move on, before we go in a different direction here, the 33rd team tossed this trade out here, and I think it's very important. Very important. Oh, also, let's go Cordell Patterson first. Can we bring up Cordell Patterson? First off, this guy's doing the Lord's work here for the Pittsburgh Steelers, continuing to recruit Davante Adams, which has to help. I haven't gotten a chance to ask if he is boys with Davante Adams, if he knows Davante Adams personally. I have no idea, but Cordell Patterson wants him here, and I'm sorry, but you could look at Sauce Gardner, you could look if Cordell Patterson's recruiting you to Pittsburgh, I'm pretty pumped about it, and I feel like that holds some ground. So shout out to Cordell Patterson. The second part of this, the 33rd team dropped one absolutely wild trade, and I just want your opinion on it. Have you seen it yet?
Yes, I have seen it, so I know where we're going with this. And
okay.
Yeah.
I'll ask you for your original reaction here. The trade was Davante Adams for a third-round pick and this guy named George Pickens from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, it was almost as if they haven't paid attention to anything. It was almost as if whoever came up with this trade just was like, well, that makes a lot of sense, without realizing what the Pittsburgh Steelers have been trying to do for literal months now. But I'll ask you, did you see it? And what were your thoughts when you did?
Yeah, I definitely saw it. And it seems more like a fantasy football trade that you're trying to make with the guy that auto sets his lineups than an actual NFL trade. It makes obviously zero sense. Why would the Steelers do that swap and say, you know what, we'll take the older gentleman so we can trade away a future number one and then, also have to deal with his contract. Again, the fact that it's thrown out there is it just shows me to take that site a little bit less seriously than I did in previous days.
Yes, that one was absolutely. The first time I saw it, I said, because I saw FanDuel say second round pick, and I said, oh, that makes sense. So I just like quickly typed into Twitter, Steelers Davante Adams trade, just to see, because I knew there were going to be like mock trades, and I just wanted to see them. I saw that one, and verbally, it was 5:45 in the morning this morning, and I verbally laughed out loud. Like, and you should not be able to express emotions at 5:45 in the morning. I was ready to go. That one got me all juiced up. So, I mean, there's zero chance, literal zero chance. And to just add to the Pickens side of this, in those conversations that I have had throughout the day, the Pittsburgh Steelers are not worried about Davante Adams and any attitude issues or concerns that some people on the outside might have, and instead view him as a better candidate, their best option, actually, to come in here and help mentor George Pickens and kind of get him in a direction in which they want him to be moving forward. So it's a lot going on with Davante Adams. Very excited about where this is going. Definitely a fluid situation for both sides, and one to keep an eye on for sure